Good afternoon. Thank you very much for joining this afternoon webinar. It's only Thursday afternoon. My name is Paul Shrimpling, if you don't know already, and this hopefully valuable, I believe it will be valuable, and relatively compact, aiming for brief webinar will give you some real deep insights into what we've been doing with the Accountants Growth Academy. The purpose and the point of this webinar is to do what we can to share enough information that you'll make a decision to join us on the 5th of December. We've set in Birmingham. For now, we're waiting to see who actually joins us on the 5th. If it looks as though everyone's from the southeast, we'll move the venue. If it looks as though everyone's from Scotland, we'll move it to Scotland. We've chosen Birmingham because it's the centre of the UK, just about. So let's crack on and see if we can entice you to join us on the 5th of December. Douglas is also on this webinar, and he'll help me deal with any Q&A when we get to that stage. If you don't know already, I'm Paul Shrimpling. I run Remarkable Practice. Douglas and I hooked up a few years ago to launch a development program for accountants, which we now call the Accountants Growth Academy. And together we've been working with 11 firms, and you're going to see what some of those firms have got to say about their experiences in the Growth Academy shortly. So what is it about exactly? Well, you could call it a partner development program, for want of a better label, or you could call it a personal development program, because we encourage the firms, not just the owners of the firms or the directors of the firms, to come along to the workshops, but to get their managers into the workshops as well. And what we've seen is, as the partners have brought more of their managers, the client-facing, typically managers, into the program, they're getting much more of a result, because on their way back and implementing when they get back to the office, there's more people involved and there's peer pressure to carry through the actions and so forth. So it's a personal development program, not just a partner development program. So if you wanted, you could call it a manager's development program too. So in the round, it looks like a practice development program. The reality is it's all three. It's about developing partners, directors, owners, other personnel, other managers within the firm, and as a result there is practice development taking place, and it seems to work. And it works because we've structured it like this. There's 3 workshops in a 12-month window. On top of the 3 workshops, we've got 3 accountability visits. That's one-on-one visits. That's one-on-one visits in your firm, revisiting what you've promised to do within the workshops. Then on top of that, we've got accountability calls. So between the visits, between the workshops, there are accountability calls to also give another opportunity to hold you to account and keep you on the straight and narrow, as it were. And last but not least, there'll be additional tools and resources that enable you to quickly get to do what you know you need to do and get the results that you want. So the Accountants Growth Academy, 3 workshops, accountability, tools and resources, essentially designed to answer 2 questions. The first one being, what does success look like for your firm 3 years from now? Now, if you wanted to, you could change the 3 years to 5 or longer if you wanted to. But for the sake of argument, let's go with, what does success look like for your firm 3 years from now? What we've discovered is that the firms we've been working with so far, some have got some idea, some have got a reasonably good idea, but not everyone's got a crystal clear idea. And we work towards working out what that crystal clear view of success is within the next 3 years. And bearing in mind, we're in a world where the technology is changing at a rapid rate, and so I'm going to get onto that in a second or two. Client expectations are changing, the expectations of your team, your managers, they're changing too. And so we are all managing in a high state of flux. But it doesn't mean to say we can't have a clear view of where you are taking the firm, or we are going to. Second question is, what do you think will get in the way? What do you think will stop you achieving your 3-year goals? And essentially, in every workshop, the conversations that we're having as a group, because it's not just me presenting, it's everyone participating, asking questions, sharing their own insights and ideas, so that you, me, Douglas, like-minded firms are all contributing to the progress of your firm, and you consequently contributing to theirs too. And a lot of the conversations are around, well, I'd love to do that, because I'm sure you've been to an event in the recent past, where you go, oh, that's a great idea, and then you get back into the office and you just get swamped by client queries, team queries, emails, the next job needs reviewing, and so forth. And it's stuff gets in the way. We're aware of that. And the accountability process and the content of the workshops is designed to help you overcome that, so that you get the result. And what result are you seeking? Well, we reckon it's relatively simple, because if the result is whatever you do differently as a consequence of being in the academy, the Growth Academy, is client loyalty will go up. And if client loyalty goes up, then you can bet your bottom dollar that those clients will be tempted and willing and happy to buy additional services from you, your team, and your firm. On top of that, you could argue then that highly loyal, or clients that are more loyal, will give you more recommendations. They'll refer your firm to the people they care about in business. And last but not least, loyal clients won't be uncomfortable with price increases, because they can see the value that you and your firm are delivering to their business. And so, as much as the academy is about your goals and helping you overcome the challenges that stop you getting there, it's also customer focused. It has to be, doesn't it? It has to be client focused in order that it works, because ultimately it's their willingness to pay you money for the services you deliver and the care that you bring to the party that ultimately means it's worked. Your firm's worked, the program's worked. So just to establish a little bit of credibility, I guess, how do we know it works? Well, for 16 years, all I've done is work with accounting firms. If you've seen me present, you know that already. So I just want to share 2 or 3 stories here that just give you an idea as to what's possible. So this 1.5 to 1.8 to 2.1 million that's on the screen is the story of a 3-partner firm who, in an 18-month window, went from 1.5 to 2.1 million turnover without changing any of the personnel in the team, which has a transformational impact on both the capital value, but significantly on the bottom line profits of the firm. And so how does a firm achieve that? Well, ultimately it's lead generation and lead conversion. They found some new customers and they persuaded those new customers to actually pay. And they also cross-sold additional services into their existing client base. And so it doesn't sound particularly complex, but it's what they did habitually. And what you'll find on the program is that every time we get together, every workshop and almost every accountability session too, you'll touch on building new habits in your firm, habits that deliver the sort of growth that you can see on the screen. And it works for small firms, sole practitioners with a small team, 2-partner, 3-partner firms. It also works for, and this story is about a 9-partner firm, and who'd flatlined at a certain level of revenue for 5 years, not really progressed at all. And within a year of installing 1 or 2 simple habits in that client relationship space, between the managers and directors of the firm and the meetings they have with their clients, that resulted in the best fees and best profits they'd seen in over 6 years. In fact, what they added was just short of £500,000 worth of new revenue in that 12-month window that generated those best fees and best profits. So I bring that story in just because it doesn't matter whether you're a large firm or a small firm, the Accountants Growth Academy works. And albeit those stories, all these stories are connected with firms I've worked with one-on-one, it's those insights that I'm bringing into the academy workshops, and all the work Douglas and I do together is building the knowledge and the insights, so that when we're together as a group or you work in one-on-one in those accountability sessions, you can get the insights of what other firms have done and can apply it to your firm, and you get that result too. So we're not leaving anything out, if you will. And I can talk to you about numerous firms who year on year achieve the best profit ever. My favourite story at the moment is a modest 2-partner firm who in 2017 had a challenging year, let's say. Very stressful for both the owners and the team. They felt as though they were overworked. And they have installed some of the processes that we cover within the academy around workflow and planning. And this year, well, Q1 they did £150,000 worth of revenue. Q2 they've done another £152,000 worth of revenue. Third quarter was another 150, and they're expecting to do 154 plus in the final quarter of 2018. The same team, but this team is no longer stressed because they've got the workflow working brilliantly. It's ordered, it's controlled. The stress levels have just not vanished, because running a business that doesn't happen, but they're significantly lessened. And by the way, the firm's going to be significantly more profitable this year than they were last year. So there's some insights. There's the sort of things that have happened in firms, and it's those stories and the insights of what they've done, how they do it, that show up in the workshops that we chew over, discuss in detail, so that you go back with scripted next steps on how to apply that to you and your firm. And then we have to throw something else into the mix, haven't we? The use of technology to drive up profitability in your firm is necessary, because the technology train is coming fast, and I'm seeing firms who are using technology in their firm which is assisting them do more work in less time, and we're looking to bring those insights into the academy too, so that you get that too. And if you've got some, you'll share it with your colleagues within the Growth Academy workshop meetings. And with quite a few of the firms come the night before and we have a dinner together, so we're building a bit of a community and sense of support that firms see as being really valuable. So it's not about, or rather, it's not just about you, your team, your firm using technology. It's also about getting your clients to use the technology too. And as a consequence, when they do, and I've got evidence from firm to firm that we visit and we see where that's making the accountant's job easier and faster and therefore more profitable, adding to the capacity of the firm without adding or having the need for more people. And as a result, they're building in greater profitability for the future and greater capital value too. And last but not least, let me just knock my camera off a second so you can see that full sentence. Is get your people to embrace the changes. Seems to be a recurring theme with all the one-on-one consulting firms that I work with, Douglas works with, and what's going on in the workshops. It's one thing knowing what to do. It's one thing knowing what technology to bring to your firm or bring to your clients. But how do you get your team and how do you get your customers to embrace those changes so that their lives, their roles, their jobs, and yours are easier and less stressful? And it's this point that I think ultimately the firm is going to be less reliant on the owners, you as directors, owners, so that more of your people do more of the work. Then there's a whole shift of belief systems and attitudes that some way, somehow have to take place for that genuine, wholehearted embracing of new technology and the changes that are necessary, that are, making tax digital, cloud accounting, bank feeds, mobile, and so forth. I'll just throw that slide up, which is the same as the last one, but just emphasizing that this is about driving up your profitability. It's about making your job easier and faster, and your managers and your team, and engaging with the people in your business, both your workers, your employees, your team, and your customers, so that it gets easier and less stressful for everybody. And it's this last people piece that I want to just dwell on. At the last Academy workshop group, because for the group that we're already running, we had, this is Will Farnell, I'm on the right there, that's my ugly mug in the check shirt. Will Farnell joined us for a couple of hours and shared his story, and then opened himself up to quite a detailed and deep Q&A from the 31 accountants that were in the room, which was brilliant because we really dug down deep into not just the what but the how of what Will's achieved. And his comment about the technology is coming, it's here and it's coming faster and more of it, but Will's very much of the opinion, and I agree with him, that one of the technologies we need to put to work is the human technology. It's the better use of your people with your clients, and he talks about a human digital, or a digital human accounting practice. And in that space, that piece where you work with your team and they do something different that adds value to the relationship between you and your client, is where the magic happens. Now, with that in mind, what I'd like to do now is just share with you some comments from Jenny Waugh, who is one of the owners of a practice in Bangor in Northern Ireland. And this is what Jenny's got to say. Now, you'll hear Douglas's voice as well, because Douglas just, and Jenny was, you know, she's shy, let's put it that way. So a little bit uncomfortable on camera, but she willingly shared in literally less than 2 minutes her thoughts about what's been going on for her and her fellow owners in her firm. So let's hear what Jenny's got to say.
Working for your firm?
It's working really well for us, Douglas. It's made us very focused on what we're doing. It's helped us focus the team and develop the team, and we can see big changes in our firm.
Great. The accountability visit, what value does that add to the process?
It really does help, because quite often you go to things like this where you have a good day full of ideas, and you get back into the workplace and you absolutely forget everything, because you're back in the swing of the day, get ready and doing the daily stuff. So that really brings it back to mind. We know we've got tasks to do and things that we need to put in place before you come, or whoever comes and follows up with us. So it's essential to the whole programme.
Great. And what would you say has been the single biggest learning point from the whole programme for you?
I think the biggest learning point for ourselves has been to grow. We need to develop our team. We cannot do everything ourselves, and we've come from a small practice that's grown year on year. But since we've started the development programme, we've realised we need to get good team members in, get them trained, get them empowered to do the job, and that's the only way we can grow and we can keep moving the firm on. And it's been better for everybody, including ourselves.
Great, thank you.
So there's Jenny talking about how important that, you know, the work that we're doing in the Jenny called it the development program, but the Growth Academy. Talking about, let me just pull these slides up, I can't do two things at once, forgive me. Here we go. Let's get these slides back up. There we are. So Jenny's seen the insights from the Growth Academy work impacting on her working day, working week, as well as her team's working day, working week, which has benefited her, benefited her team, and also now benefiting the clients too. So hopefully that resonated with you. Now, if you ever get to see me present live, you'll hear me talk about habits an awful lot, and there are a number of habits. There's the way you think, there's the stuff that comes out of your mouth, that's what you say, which together ultimately result in how you feel about what you're going to do. And it's when we do work together within the academy setting and influence what you think, what you say, how you say it, the way you feel, and what you do, that ultimately results in stuff happening. I can't tell you how crucial, important from my perspective, because we guarantee the fees. It's a money back. We you know, everything we do has a money back guarantee attached to it. So we've got to do everything we can to help ensure that you do what you need to do in order that you get the value. Because if you don't get the value, you're going to ask for your money back. And you know, I want you to do that if you don't get the value. But we take real responsibility, or part responsibility, for helping you change or do different things, think differently, say differently, feel differently. And if you do, then your team will, and also your clients will too, because only when you lead the change will others follow that change. So when you're committed to thinking differently, saying differently, and feeling differently, and doing different stuff, so will your clients, so will your team, and you'll change the behaviors and therefore the results of your firm of accountants. And as long as it's connected to your customer, and we've got the customer right at the center of what we're trying to do, so build client loyalty, and therefore we'll get all the knock-on benefits, you and your firm will end up increasing fees and profitability and capital value, and we'll all live happily ever after. So repeating myself a little bit there, but just want to emphasize the you know, there's insights, there's accountability, there's driving you to take the action and build habits. 3 workshops, 3 visits, 3 calls, and some additional tools and resources, what you get, so that you get a return on investment. So I now want to share some numbers with you. To a degree, I'm setting out to sort of scare you to death to begin with, and then just bring a little bit of commercial reality to it. So if I'm going to ask you to invest £24,840 over a 3-year time window, which is, you know, what we're talking about here, then I reckon at the very least, you need to get 100 grand's worth of payback. So a 4 times ROI. And if you can find a 4 times ROI on anything out there in the commercial landscape, the commercial world, then you know, it's worth pursuing, in my view. Now, because we risk reverse money back guarantee what we're doing, you see, this is why I'm sharing the numbers. I need you to see in your head that you and your firm are going to get a 4 times minimum, 4 times payoff for working with us and following through on the Accountants Growth Academy. There's something else to take in mind or have in mind too, and it's, as opposed to ROI, it's RONI, which is the risk of not investing. So what's that? Well, that's dead simple. You know, if you don't invest, you don't invest the 24, you don't get the 99. As a consequence, the risk in financial terms is 74. You know, you might think that's not smart aleck, you know, monetarization of what we're talking about here, but it's less about the money for us than it is about, you know, because the technology is coming fast, it's changing faster, it's unavoidable, sorry, my colleagues just let me know the video's still on, Sally, isn't it? We've still got a video on.
No, the video's not showing.
All right, my video. Yeah, right. Sorry, Sally's saying you can't see my ugly mug. There we go. Hello. Forgive me, guys, folks. Okay, so it's not about the money. It's about the changes coming, and it's coming faster, whether it be the technology, expectations of clients, you know, the expectations of your team. And the risk of not changing things in your firm puts your firm at risk, does it not? You know, if you know, there's this saying, isn't there, learned off Steve Pipe a long time ago, if you continue to do what you've always done, you'll always get what you've always got. Well, that's not true. If you continue to do what you've always done and the world changes, the technology changes, client expectations change, team expectations change, and you continue to do what you've always done, you're undermining the future success, capital value and profitability of your firm. And that's the risk of not getting yourself on a partner development program or a personal development program like this, or a practice development program, which we happen to call the Accountants Growth Academy. So with a little bit of that in mind, here's Ian Quartermain from a firm over in the west of the UK, and what I'd like to do is just, again, less than 2 minutes, is actually show you what Ian's got to say about what they've got from participating in the Accountants Growth Academy. So let me play this video for you.
How's it been for William Hinton?
Really good. We get a lot of value from the program itself. I really like the fact that it's sort of 3 times a year, because it gives us some time in between to just try and concentrate on what Paul's told us, and then, you know, the interim sessions are good because they give us a bit of motivation. So yeah, really good. The only thing we have to criticise ourselves because we're not making as much progress as we really should, but we do recognise that and we're working towards the right goals.
Great, okay. The accountability visits, you've kind of touched on that already, but what value does that add to the process?
Immense value to the process. Really like the accountability visits. So you coming down recently, it's kick up the backside, right, what haven't we been doing? Actually, we really should do that because of those reasons. It just reinforces what Paul's told us. So whilst we only get three visits a year with Paul, seeing you know, really makes us, I haven't done that, let's get back to the drawing boards. Why haven't we picked up on that? And it's a sharp reminder, and that's really, really important.
Great. And if you were to pinpoint one key learning from the whole programme to date, what would that be?
I think the best thing we've done so far is having the whiteboards in each of our offices so that we're tracking what, be it turnover, be it number of meetings. So that's the key. And I think when you came down last time, we spoke about the bot. You know, we did the bot, came away from the bot, we're now putting the bot pot back in place. And those regular meetings are the driver for that and all the things we try to achieve.
Great. Thanks, Ian.
Thank you.
So there you have Ian talking about, he mentioned BOP, Business One Page Plan. He's talking about the KPIs, the key predictive indicators that are helping, essentially, by definition, give them a reference point week in, week out, month in, month out for the firm. So let's get this slide presentation back up again. Here we go. So there's Ian. So hopefully from Ian and from Jenny, you're getting a sense that what I'm saying is what's being delivered in terms of high value content at the workshops, the accountability process, that keeps the firms on track making progress so that they get a return on investment and don't miss out on the changes that they know they need to make, just like you probably know you need to make changes in your firm. But, you know, the wave of emails, customer queries, compliance stuff, reviews, team issues, and the many, many other things that grab your time. Here's a methodology, if you will, a program, the Accountants Growth Academy program that gives you a reference point that enables you to get what you want for your firm. You know, achieve your goals, because we're helping you knock over the hurdles that are getting in the way. And what we're actually asking of you now is not those big numbers we talked about earlier, but is actually encouraging you to join Douglas and I and other like-minded accountants on the 5th of December, invest £690 and get a 4 times return. Well, I don't think that is strong enough for me. So we want you to ask for your money back, the whole £690 back, if you don't get a 12 times return. Now 12 times is 690 adds up to 8280 if I've got my maths right. And in my head, why do it at that when you can just round it up to £10,000? So the reference point we want you to bring into the 5th of December is this day is going to identify 1, 2 or 3 actions that enable me and my firm to get a return on investment of £10,000 from the £690 invested in the day. And then that creates a context for the rest of the Growth Academy. And just so that you've got it in hard words is, you know, there's a guarantee your fees each year. So each year's investment will be fully refunded if you wish, if you don't feel as though you're getting value for money. And we're deadly serious about that. And one of the reasons we're serious about it is because it ensures and almost enforces that we do what we have to do in order to help you do what you have to do. It's almost more for us than it is for your peace of mind. You know what you're going to get for, well, let's go back to that. That initial fee of £690 is going to get you a workshop. It's not going to get the accountability visits and calls, although we may well throw a call into the mix. I think that should be a sensible thing for us to do. But we want you to get a real flavour as to, you know, what goes on in the workshops, and knowing full well that actually you do well having an accountability session. But even without the accountability, we'll be designing that first day on the 5th of December to ensure that you walk out going, yeah, I can easily see £10,000 washing into my firm in the next 12 months because of what we've covered off today. And then you'll be happy of having paid the £690 and maybe tempted to join the programme. If you're not happy, you'll get your money back. That's entirely up to you. That'll be your decision on the day. But Douglas and I, our goal will be to deliver for you so that you can see that it's real. Now, a fair question would be, what exactly does the Growth Academy cover? And to a degree, you and your colleagues, your fellow like-minded accountants, will influence this. But we do have a shopping list, and it looks something like this. You know, there's do more in less time. So if you can do more in less time, you'll be more effective as a leader of your firm. The same could be applied to your manager. If your manager does more in less time, they'll be a more valuable manager to you, and that waterfalls on down the firm. We will spend time on how do you have build pricing processes that deliver you more profitable work with the clients you currently work with and from all your future new clients. We'll be looking at working with you on proven strategies for getting you to a place where the vast majority of your fees, or a significant proportion of your fees, are on monthly or quarterly direct debit. And we've got lots of stories around firms who've managed to achieve that. We'll be working with you to help you generate more high quality leads from high quality clients that deliver you high quality fees, and convert those and we'll be touching on the technologies I've hinted at. So we'll be looking to bring an expert in next year for our current group, who's going to talk through what's working best in their experience. The firms already get that from me and Douglas, so we'll bring an outsider in on that. We'll also look at it from a strategic perspective. So, building your firm's brand. And in fact, the workshop that we're running for our existing cohort, our existing group, is going to very much be focused on the firm's values and brand values. And, what is it in a high changing environment, the one that we're now working in? Does a firm have to do in terms of position and bring purpose to what they're doing that engages with the team, engages with the customer? So it's more of a strategic look. So there'll be some of that. We'll also be working on strategies and processes and simple next steps that help you free yourself up from the firm or do less work, make the firm less reliant on you, your team do more of the work, and therefore you enhance the capital value of your firm as well as the fees and profits. And last but not least, we'll be looking at KPIs on a fairly regular basis, because we have KPIs on cash, KPIs on pricing, KPIs on lead generation and conversion. We're looking at the right key predictive indicators, not performance indicators, key predictive indicators that enable you to manage your firm when we're not there. Because we can't manage, I can't, Douglas can't, and no external person can ultimately manage your firm day in, day out, week. That's your job and your manager's job. But if you've got the right measurement processes in place, you've got the right reference points in place that enable you to run a more successful, more profitable, higher value firm. And each of those subjects we will unpack in detail. And it's not just what do you have to do? It's down into the nitty-gritty detail of how, and then also obviously the accountability process to ensure that you install those insights. So that's it, really. Return on investment. That's what we're looking for on the 5th of December, so that you can see the ways and means of getting your £10,000 from your £690 investment plus a bit of your time. So just as we head towards wrap up, so I can give you a couple of things you specifically need to do now. So you're going to either ask for a one-on-one conversation just to chew this over a little bit more, or you're going to go, yeah, no, I'm in, I want to give this a whirl. Let's hear what Paul Windmill from Myers Clark has got to say about his experiences of working within the Growth Academy. So let me pull his video up and you can get a real sense as to how it's impacted on him and his fellow two partners. Here we go.
We found it, great fun. What are we, nearly 3 years of the way through. It's been good learning exercise for the three of us, Jonathan, myself and Ian. Good opportunities to get away, get together, and the networking side of it in terms of chatting to like-minded firms. Sometimes you learn something new, but sometimes it's just about also knowing that other people are going through the same things that you're going through. Yeah. Like a reassurance factor, as well as the new learning that obviously it's brought in. So it makes you stop and think differently about the way you're doing things. What should we be doing? Paul's a great person to learn from and listen to. It's never boring. It really isn't. We look forward to the next one.
Great. And the accountability visits, what value does that add to the process?
They're really great because obviously you come away with lots of ideas, but it makes you focus on, okay, what am I going to do between now and when the meeting is or the phone call is. It kind of forces you to get on with it, stop and think about it, and then actually implement one or two or three of the things that you've learned during the session. So I think without it, you wouldn't think about it again until you or just come into the next one. Yeah, important.
Great. And what would you say has been the single biggest learning point for Myers Clark or for you?
I think it's for as a business, and we're still, if I'm honest, struggling to implement it properly with the three-tier pricing. We realise quite early on that we're leaving money on the table. We're not we're not giving the client what they want necessarily, which is choice. Sometimes we're doing stuff for clients and not charging for it, but in some ways we're not earning as much as we can out of those clients. As I say, we're struggling to implement it properly, but it's the biggest thing that we've learned. It's still the biggest thing where we can build on as a business as well.
Great, thanks, Paul.
Okay.
Brilliant. So there's Paul suggesting that the work that we've done together on pricing has had a big impact on the firm, even though they're not making best use of it quite yet. And it's and what's been interesting for me is, and it's a little bit like when I'm working one-on-one with firms, is themes repeat, issues come back up, they show their face again and again, and it's and that's a good thing, because you make steps forward, you implement, you prototype, you get some work going, it stutters, maybe it stalls, and we revisit again, and you stay on, you keep on keeping on with the stuff that has proven to work for other firms of accountants, whether it be in the UK or Australia or America. And you're probably aware I produced a book earlier this year called The Business Growth Accountant, where I've interviewed some of the smartest, most effective business advisory style accountancy firms that I've been able to find, and shared some real insights. And I bring that into the workshops as well, those insights. So very shortly, it's your turn to ask me and Douglas some questions. Douglas, I'm just going to ask, maybe you've got one or two things, I know you'll be itching to speak, that you want to contribute to the group, so I'm going to get you to chip in a little bit any second now. But I just want to flag up that you've got a decision to make. You don't have to do anything. You know, you hopefully got value from this webinar in some way, shape or form, in terms of understanding what's possible for you and your firm in a world that's changing at an ever rapid rate. And there's two choices. I'm just going to flag up on your screen. And I'm going to finish with this when we've done all the questions. Is one option is to go, right, yeah, I'm in. And if I publish this offer, so on screen now, you should see an opportunity to click here to book onto the webinar. Sorry, not the webinar, the one-day workshop on the 5th of December. So you can click on that if you wanted to. Now it will take you off this screen, but you should still be able to hear me. And if you wanted to, you can just hold that there and come back to the finish of the webinar. I'm just going to remove that offer now. So if you want to click that, do that now. Right, let's take that away. And the alternative is, now you really want to chew this over in a little bit more detail one-on-one. So that's a case of having a conversation with Douglas. And again, there's a click here that enables you to take you to a landing page and request an opportunity to talk this through in more detail with Douglas. So I'm going to leave that one hanging for a second or two, and now just ask Douglas, is there one or two things you want to contribute based on your experiences of working with the firms, both in those accountability meetings as well as being at the workshops?
Hi, Paul. Thanks for that. And hi, everybody. Nice to be on the webinar with you. I think a couple of things have come to mind. One, that you reinforced that we do have a real community here. The group know each other well. They've been working with each other well. And that's maybe an understated benefit of going through this program together. What that brings, as well as a bit of social interaction, is the ability to ask questions more privately, or to learn from each other. You know, we've got some firms who may be exceptionally good at pricing, for example, but not that great at production. And we may link them up with a firm who is the opposite. Great at production, but not great at pricing. So yeah, there's a lot of good benefits with that. The accountability side as well, the only other point I wanted to make, Paul, is that you know, while we do come in with an agenda which is structured and is based on the previous workshop, we do bring a bit of real life experience as well. And sometimes we have to rip up that agenda because life gets in the way or work gets in the way, and we need to reshape things and take a step back to make two forward. So that, you know, those accountability visits, I love them. I think it's it is real life. It's seeing everyone in their own environment. But, while we bring a structure and order to it, we can also go off-piste if need be, just to cater for a short-term emergency or short-term reset, and then we move forward again. And I know that a few firms have seen the benefit in that.
Well, and Douglas, we've created, there's 4 sessions at each event, the morning up to coffee up to lunch, and then 2 in the afternoon. And we create a theme in each of those, as you know. And we've just created the four themed sessions for the next event for the current academy group. But there has been occasions where we've got those 4 things planned and we've not done 2 of them because the other 2 dominated the day, because that's what was in the best interest of the firms in the room. So you bob on to mention that, and that cross fertilization. It's not about me, it's not about you, Douglas, is it? It's about as much from the other firms in the room, and not just owners and directors, but the managers as well, if we can get them in the room.
Absolutely.
Now, I've got a question from Kareem. You're asking, when do we need to commit to investing the £690? Well, now is the answer to that, Kareem, is the glib answer. But, any time up to a week before the 5th of December, albeit we'll be making our decision in terms of, where we're locating it and the size of the room, depending on how many people choose to join us on that day. So the sooner you can invest that, bearing in mind, you can ask your money back following the event, so there's nothing at risk. So hopefully that answers your question, Kareem. Now, with that in mind, i.e. the Q&A, on screen you can see I've just flagged up, and this is my screen, probably looks a little bit different for yours, but there's that hand logo which is indicated by the red arrow at the top right hand side of your screen as you're listening. There's a hand, so if you've got a question for us, then click that, type in your question, and Douglas and I will do what we can to answer it. So I've got another question that's come up, which is, when we start the academy, are we committing to a year or 3 years worth of a program? And the answer to that is no, you're not. You can bow out at any time, and we, to a degree, that's connected with the guarantee, because it's not about us and tying people in. It's about making sure that we deliver for you, and you do what's necessary for your firm. So there's no there's no tie-in. Over the 3 years we've been running the current program, there's been a few firms have come in and bowed out, but the 11 firms that are in have stayed all the way through, and they're continuing into next year as well, because they see it as an ongoing development program for themselves and their practice. So hopefully that manages that question. Douglas, are there any questions that come out of your accountability meetings that are worth flagging up here, or repeating themes?
I think the only thing that I guess a couple of firms have asked, Paul, is looking forward. How does when does the program end, or how do we know that we're at a stage to move on? But I guess that's something it's quite hard to answer quickly in a webinar like this. But it's certainly something that we focus on. I think sometimes when one is asked a question like that, one assumes that they want to get out, but in both cases, it was the exact opposite. They want to carry on, and just as you said in your previous answer there, Paul, they want to carry on because they like the involvement, they like the community part of it, they like the learning process, they like the impact that it has on their team. So these things are some benefits in there that we would expect to have seen, but also some others that have really grown with the group.
Indeed, and what's lovely about the group we've now got is the depth of relationships amongst the people in the group, independent of anything we do, Douglas. That to me, I think is highly rewarding from a personal perspective. But like Paul Myers indicated, it's that networking with other accountants who are seeing the same problems or have seen it. So there's the reassurance piece, but also the insights on how to fix it. Because the value is probably, I would argue, is more about the other firms in the room than it is about me or you or anything we've seen. So I've got Kareem, you asking again about the focus on the ROI of the workshop on the 5th. Essentially, so Kareem's question is, so the ROI of the day on the 5th workshop, according to me, is guaranteed to yield a return of £10,000. Is that it, or is it subject to our endeavours and effort? It's very simple. Kareem, and it's a fair question, I like the question, is spend your £690, come to the event, and if you get to the end of the day and go, there's no way what we've just covered will deliver me £10,000, you ask for your money back. And if you go, yeah, I think it will, but it'll require me to do stuff, then you go back to the base and you start implementing. And you know, if 3 months later or 6 months later you believe that that was a complete waste of time, whether it be because the content's wrong or you've not just done what you needed to do, which we've got no control over, then you can still ask for your money back. I don't want to take money for something that doesn't deliver value. Now, Douglas and I know that the workshops are one thing, but it's the accountability process that makes the massive difference. Now, I know there'll be people who'll walk into a workshop, they'll get an insight and they'll go and implement. Now, whether they do or they don't, those people can still ask for the money back. And if you weren't comfortable 3 or 6 months and you say, well, you know, I've been going at this for 9 months or 12 months and it's not worked, ask for your money back and I'll write the check. Well, we'll just deposit it in your bank, won't we? But technology allows that. So really, there is zero risk. That's what we're trying to create here. So we get you to positively engage in the day, you know, wholeheartedly, and then hopefully go back to your place of work, your office, your accountancy practice, and implement. From our perspective, we'd like to think that as a consequence of what we do together on the day, you'll want to join in with the whole program, the whole academy program, and you'll have us on side. You'll have fellow accountants on side doing what they can to get you where you want to be, earning what you want to be earning, living the life you want to lead. So thanks for that question, Kareem. Okay, I think unless another question comes up in the next few ticks, I'll bring these offers back up now. So what I'm about to do now is just flag up the first of all, let's get Douglas on screen, so you can click here if you want to have a deeper conversation with Douglas on the detail. And now I'm trying to work, so if I remove that offer and now put up the join us, sign up, pay your money offer, there you go. Hopefully that's on your screen now. And you can always, if you know you've got any questions and you don't want to have a phone call, simply email douglas@remarkablepractice.com, copy it to paul@remarkablepractice.com, and we'll make sure we respond and work out how we can have a conversation, whether it be via email or over the phone. So folks, I hope you've got some value from this webinar. We're committed to your success because it's where our reputation lies. If you go on the Remarkable Practice website and search around for the Accountants Growth Academy, you'll find lots of comments from lots of firms on how it's worked for them and in detail what they've got out of it. So you can do more research if you wish, and we'd encourage you to engage in a conversation so we can determine whether it's right for you. But it just leaves me to say thank you very much for investing the last 45-50 minutes on this webinar, and I wish you and your firm every success for the future. 2019 is not far away. I hope it brings you everything you want. If you're going to XeroCon, I will be knocking around, so please feel free, if you see my face, ugly mug, to grab me and go, ooh, what about this, Paul? If you're not from the UK, from overseas, and you're going to QuickBooks Connect in San Jose in a couple of weeks' time, I'll also be there for 3 days. So feel free to oink me around the neck and collar me and ask me anything you want. So we're done. Thank you very much, everybody. I guess you're all going to grab some lunch now and get on with the rest of your day. Thank you. Cheers, Douglas, for your help as well.
Thanks. Bye-bye.
All right. Bye-bye, everybody.